So, Valentine, by a process of deduction, we know that this portrait that isn't on show must be a royal one. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this is a picture that was unveiled in 2010. It's by Nicky Phillips, and it was of William and Harry. In happier times, they're both in their Blues and Royals uniform, looking incredibly dashing. And I think Harry's sitting and William's standing up, and it really sort of captured something of the bond between the two brothers. And it hasn't been seen in the National Portrait Gallery recently because the National Portrait Gallery has been closed for several years, but it has been on tour. They've got this big reopening, and it's not going to be shown. And you're going to wonder why not. Is it connected to the fact that the patron of the National Portrait Gallery is the Princess of Wales?
You put in a few calls. Your excellent story in the Times that I've seen. I think it's online now, is it, or will
Is
be
it?
shortly?
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, I was sent an exclusive preview, and it's a great story. There's lots of detail in it, but I see from that you've been putting in a few calls about what is the reason for this strange disappearance.
Yeah, I mean in a way, it's not that strange disappearance because the National Portrait Gallery has got thousands of pictures, apparently 250,000, so they can't hang them all. They can only hang a small proportion. But you would have thought they'd be interested in this one because it's such a kind of it's a moment in recent history, and it stops you short to look at them and look at it. You know, we all know now how the brothers have fallen out. They're on non-speaks. But look, they looked so lovely together then. And I think people would be fascinated to be reminded of this picture. And the gallery says, we haven't got room for them all. And both the gallery and Kensington Palace say, no, it's nothing. The Palace didn't ask us not to show it or anything like that. So you've got to take them their word at face value. But
Have you?
But you're going to wonder, I suppose, did the National Portrait Gallery on the side of caution by saying, let's be discreet and let's not show this. You kind of wonder about that, don't you?
It could be that they've read the runes and got it all wrong, and maybe everybody would have been happy for the portrait to be on display.
After all, it shows William with rather more hair than he has now. But the artist at the time was slightly criticised for showing William for a thicker thatch than he really had.
Well, there's a terrible tendency to sycophancy in royal portraits, isn't there?
Do you think so?
I'm so cynical. But I mean, you found out a little bit about the business of painting it and how they reacted to each other, didn't you, the brothers?
Yeah, I mean, they... so originally this was going to be done at Clarence House, but the artist, Nicky Phillips, went round there and just didn't like it because the light was all wrong. The rooms were south-facing, I think, so it was no good. So they actually went round to her place in South Kensington in their Blues and Royals uniform with their swords and their spurs and all of that. And the neighbours didn't bat an eyelid, and no one noticed.
Everyday occurrence.
Yes, exactly. Always having royals dropping in here, and when they were posing for the pictures, there was definitely a connection between the brothers, according to Nicky Phillips. They were smiling at each other, and I think William was adjusting Harry's belt or something like that. There's sort of. They still had a decent relationship back then.
It might have been one of your stories earlier in the week that I read that Harry had sort of earmarked this next coming year for sort of reconciliation with the royal family. Any sign of that?
Not as yet. I mean, we've been waiting for this reconciliation for some time, and I don't think there's any... I mean, look at the way... recently for the coronation, he couldn't wait to get back home. I know Little Archie had his birthday coming up, but also you would have thought that if you were over here, you could try and, meet up with your family, try and mend some of those bridges that have been burnt, but, no sign of that as yet.
But presumably that will happen at some point. That would be your best guess.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I know the king would like it. But I think they're basically all they're still pretty far apart.
But we hear that Harry and Meghan are going to be keeping a bit of a lower profile in terms of they're not going to be doing another tell-all documentary.
No, but I think that's been clear for a little while. I mean, they've got these other projects with Netflix, and I was speaking to someone close to them a while back, and I said, surely you're not going to be, going over any more of this sort of painful material anymore. And they said, no, I think we're done. So I think that the signs have been clear for some time that, they're not going to carry on milking this, Harry and Meghan.
They've had their say. So just returning to the portrait, will it go into storage now? What will happen to this?
I've no idea. The gallery's not saying. No doubt it'll come out again at some point. But there's an awful lot of pictures in there. But maybe after the story, after the story is published, they'll have second thoughts.
They might relent. Oh, you're covering yourself there, just in case.
just
in case it's not true.
But no, it was definitely true because they admitted it officially. They admitted it. But they can always change their mind.
And have we heard from the artist about what she thinks about the fact that this portrait is going to be in the dust somewhere?
No, like any artist who has a commission to paint the royal family, she's maintaining an extremely discreet silence, and I can't blame her.